The Forest of Harrow. Written by Napkin. Read for you by Goliath Voices. Locals tell legends of a nearby forest, plagued with monsters and malice aplenty. And those who enter often return, though changed, maddened even if once cognoscenti. The locals know through tales told that through fog appears your worst fear. The Forest of Harrow, it's been dubbed. The horseman knew its tale, but had no choice. He neared. The horsemen rode all day and night, though dusk never broke over his shoulder. And with the news that weighed him down, the journey seemed to take forever. From a battle he did egress, situation dire through the Forest of Harrow. But reinforcements were gravely needed, or his allies would not see tomorrow. From behind he heard a howling, and trudging footbeats that sounded not human. He urged his steed to quicken pace, head whipped round in startled confusion. For nothing he did see, behind nor off his flank, nor within the trees surrounding. But his heart did quicken, sweat soaked his clothes, for he could still hear the frenzied howling. Then suddenly and quickly did it come, that oppressive fog, thickly swirling in. The horseman tried to ignore it and press on, but now shapes and shadows moved within. See, now the fog did make appear the forms of monsters and malice made corporeal. And now the forest seemed alive and pulsing, but sick and twisted, rotting, much less arboreal. The horseman's steed stopped its charge, mind going wild, and started to thrash and buck. He tried to hold on, dig in his spurs, gripped with muscled and trained legs, but no such luck. The frenzied beast flung the man, he smashed into a tree, and the once trusty steed did bolt. Dizzied and staggered, the man stood, but noticed the approaching evil. Down his spine went a jolt. He choked a shriek and tried to flee, but stumbled upon something most grotesque. Within the fog, a woven face showed, blood-soaked, munching on the man's wife's neck. But any honor and bravery the man once had verily flew right out the door. The esophagus-exposed woman began to cackle, laugh, even as her head fell to the floor. Now, being encircled by malice-given form, the man began to weep and worry. Gnashing teeth and flashing claws bear down on the man with abandon and hurry. Arm skin was torn, bone shattered, tendons ripped, muscles parted, limb all but detached. But strength returned to his legs, though shaking, courage replaced fear, and to it he latched. With renewed strength he dashed ahead, fear pumping, making him swift like a breeze. His arm flapped uselessly behind him, but he didn't notice, didn't care, paid it no heed. The monsters gave chase, and seemed to be closing, but the fog started to grow thinner. The man's adrenaline peaked. He moved faster, still with thoughts of how he might not become dinner. From above he heard a laughing as something fell onto his shoulder and clamped down. His wife's severed head ripped into his flesh. He screamed, then collapsed so close to town. His blood started to pool, and the light in his eyes faded. His thoughts grew cloudy and distant. As he shuddered his last breath, he drifted off, his last sight his wife's head, cackling persistent. The next day, the locals mentioned a soldier found outside the forest, rambling and raving. In his arms he clutched a rock, though he swore it to be his wife's head, his sanity caving. He ranted about his missing arm, blood lost, an injury too gruesome to escape death. But the man had not a scratch on him. It wasn't real, yet still he screamed with all his breath. See, the locals know, through tales told, that through the fog your fears manifest. The horseman knew, these tales told, but duty took charge at his commander's behest. He paid the price with his mind, lost forever, and his comrades never saw the morrow. The reinforcements never showed, so many lives lost, all because of the Forest of Harrow.